Grizzlies in Golden State tonight. Warriors favored by a touchdown. Golden State 0-3 all-time in the play-in. Winner takes on the Rockets. Loser plays the winner of Dallas-Sacramento. So is tonight a must-win for Golden State?
Absolutely, unequivocally, 1,000% a must-win.
Wow.
This is as much of a must-win as a literal elimination game would be. Because
really?
Yes, because their season is over with a loss. With a loss, the only question is, does their season end in their stadium in mortifying fashion, either the Kings or the Mavs, or does their season end in their stadium when they get swept by the Thunder? Because if they lose this game and then have to play Friday and then end up with a well-rested Thunder team, they are getting dog-walked in that series. So, yes, it's a must-win. And it would be a horrible way, Brew, for what had been such a promising end-of-season push to end. From they were 13-0 en route to 14-0 with the starting lineup, with their new starting lineup. I said they were now legitimate contenders. You said they were legitimate contenders. Wild said that's not contender-ish enough for me. And since
level up.
Right, it wasn't. And since those words were uttered by Kevin Wildes and we did that segment, Amen Thompson held Steph Curry to 3 points and the Rockets beat him. Harrison Barnes got a little mini revenge on him as part of a double-digit fourth-quarter collapse. Draymond gags a layup after Steph prematurely shimmies. If all of that then is the preamble to losing at home to a, in my opinion, dead-in-the-water Grizzlies team, it's a disaster. And the disaster is more than just for this season because of the choices Kerr made in that game 82, I think their relationship with Jonathan Kuminga is as tenuous as it's ever been. He's a restricted free agent. And I think one of the reasons they gave Jimmy Butler an extra year that they probably were a little squeamish about was for this playoff run. And if this playoff run doesn't even exist, then what was that done for? So yes, they absolutely have to win tonight because if they do, they're live against Houston. I think we all would feel that way. So yeah, they have to win.
I disagree that it's an absolute must-win. It's a must-win.
Oh, yeah.
It's a must-win.
Yeah, definitely.
But it is not an absolute must-win. And here's why I say that, Nick. You said they would be, if they survive losing tonight, they're getting beaten by OKC. I don't think they get swept, but if they get beat. I think they're getting beat by the Lakers in the second round, even if they win tonight. And I mean, I like them against Houston. They could potentially lose against Houston. So the point is, I think if they can't beat OKC, as you're saying, then I don't think they could beat the Lakers. So that's why I say they can still survive. We obviously know they have another chance if they lose tonight. But it is a must-win. Because this team is talking championship.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And what if they lose tonight, they will not officially be eliminated from winning the championship. But you know what? We'll just know you're not good enough. Yeah. Like, oh, you're still alive. You got a shot, technically. You're not good enough. Because this game is at home, all right, in Golden State, against a team that hasn't beaten a Western Conference team with a winning record since January, that being Memphis. All right. And if they lose tonight to Memphis, it will be their fourth straight loss at home. And all of those games were like playoff type games because you were playing for seeding. So if you just lose tonight at home to Memphis, which hasn't been playing well, you're just not good enough. Yeah. Secondly, this is kind of a rivalry. Like, they knocked Memphis out of the playoffs a few years ago when Memphis had a great season and then they went on to win the championship, Golden State. Memphis eliminated them from the play-in once before, and there's always been that chirping back and forth between Draymond and the Grizzlies and all that. So it's a rivalry. If you can't get up for a team at home in a rivalry, in a near must-win, you're not good enough. Yeah. All right. So, and then finally, I agree with you, Nick, that obviously you rather see Houston than OKC. All right. So Houston, I do believe they'll beat. I would pick them against Houston. OKC, I think they'd have a shot, but obviously it's much tougher. If you knowing that OKC is waiting for you, or a Houston team that hadn't been in the playoffs in 5 years, and you still can't win, it just means you're not good enough to win the championship. So that's what we're going to find out tonight.
And by the way, I want to go reframe my Warriors optimism from a week ago or 10 days ago, whenever it was. I think even if they win tonight, they're not good enough to win the championship. I think that while I have not been a Jonathan Kuminga fan, I think he did at least add more potential upside than Gary Payton II. And I think that this lineup that they seem to really like, which is a lineup involving 3 guys who do not want to shoot, in Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and Gary Payton II, is not going – they are ferocious defensively, and it's a way to cover up from some of Steph's defensive warts. I get that. But as great of a shooter as Steph Curry is, he cannot be the only willing shooter in your lineup. Now, Pods is a willing shooter, but I don't know – and he's been shooting it well, but it'll also be his first playoff experience. And so I think that the Warriors – were on a bit of a knife's edge, and they needed to get the right draw and the right rest and have the right vibes. And all of that is now gone, even if they win tonight. Wow. And so, go ahead.
What's your prediction for Steph? Here's Steph in the play-in, because we keep on saying that the Warriors haven't won a play-in game, but Steph comes out here and lights it up. So, Brewer, are you expecting a big night from Steph?
Yes, absolutely. Coming off that game, just the last game of the season, 8 turnovers. We know he put up a lot of points, but he had 8, and a lot of them just careless. Steph's always been careless with the ball at times, but some of those turnovers really hurt them. I do think he'll come out and play well, and I think he'll lead them to a victory.
Yeah, and the 3 play-in losses all had, like, either iconic is too strong, but memorable moments or occurrences. The first one was the LeBron had gotten poked in the eye. The Lakers were up 1, less than a minute left, and LeBron hits the 3 over Steph to, not ice the game, but put them in good shape. Then a couple days later, they're playing the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are up 10 late in the 4th. Steph basically has a one-man rally to get that game tied. Draymond has a layup to win the game at regulation and hits the side of the backboard on it. They lose in overtime. And then last year, the play-in, Steph was good, and the story sadly was the worst game of Klay Thompson's career. That was the 0.0 for 10 Klay Thompson game. So it hasn't been Steph, but I also just think that Jimmy being banged up in that Clippers game, those guys playing those minutes in that Clippers game, I think is, as opposed to the Grizzlies, which seemed just totally resigned and cool with the fact, okay, we're going to be in the play-in. They were not going. They didn't need to, in Game 82, go all out. Because Steph Curry's calling you, saying I was being unfair to him.
Yeah, Steph said he had 56 last time he played the Warriors.
Last time he played the Grizzlies?
Plays Grizzlies, sorry.
So I'm very down on what we've seen from the Warriors the last week and a half.
Well, Butler's injury is huge. I mean, if he's hampered to the point where he can't play as well as he had been, it's going to be a lot tougher for him.
All right, other side of the ball, let's look at Memphis. That been a little all over the place. They fired Taylor Jenkins. And, Brew, you actually like the new coach and his experience. Ja debuted a new explosive celebration, but they're 4-6 in their last 10. Now, if they win tonight, they'll play the Rockets. Brew, is there any chance Memphis goes on a little playoff run here?
Yes. And not in an anything is possible chance. I actually mean now, I'm not expecting it. I'm not picking them to go deep. But the reason I say there's a chance, if they win tonight, Nick, that's a big win. That's a good win that you can theoretically have some momentum off. And you get Houston, they're not afraid of Houston. Now, Houston's defense is tenacious because they look at Houston like, y'all some little boys. I mean, seriously. Outside of Dillon and Van Vliet.
And Steven Adams, there's 2 Grizzlies there.
They're not worried about Steven Adams. And as much as I like Steven Adams. Amin Thompson, Jalen Green. Their stars are young, have no playoff experience. The stars.
He's
Fred
just saying,
VanVleet has
and
a
what-
chip.
no, he's saying
Memphis
the Rockets
has-
big
I'm
three
talking about your
versus
big-
the Memphis
yeah.
big three.
That's
the Memphis
who
big three's
drives
been to the playoffs.
Houston,
That's
the
what he
young
said.
boys.
Okay.
All right? They're saying you weren't even in the league and I was a rising star. They got 2 All-NBA caliber players in Ja and Triple J. They have an all-star caliber player in Desmond Bane. Now, I know they're a mess, and I'm not saying I predict it. I'm just saying based on talent.
Yeah, I just don't
Talent
think they're mature
alone.
enough.
I agree. That's been their problem since they became a good team recently. But I'm just saying, with that much talent, especially against a Houston team, Nick, that's young and hasn't been in the playoffs, I just think you'd be foolish to completely write them off.
Go ahead, Wild.
I would completely write them off.
I know you would. Go ahead, because I might back you up, surprising.
I believe in defense and I believe in rebounding, and I don't believe in Memphis at all. I don't believe in any team that fired their coach.
You believe in Ja Morant?
I don't know.
I'm not sure if Ja Morant right now is 100% focused on winning a championship.
I
Is that a
agree
fair
with that.
statement?
I totally
I
agree.
think that's a fair statement.
And I think
But
other
I'm not talking
guys
about
are.
winning a champ. They cannot win the West. I'm just saying, with that type of talent, Ja's averaged 30 points over the last month and a half. He's playing like his best ball of the season. He looks like he's back. Now, he hadn't led to wins, but he does look like he's back to being Ja.
So
I mean, I guess.
I'm just saying a little dangerous because of the
'cause
talent.
during
well,
the regular
I've
season.
got, listen, I think there is absolutely no chance Memphis goes on a playoff run. I think this would be ideal for the Rockets. And I also think that, so the Memphis versus good teams thing is jarring, and it's not just recently. Now, recently, it's unbelievable. On February 5th, they were 35-16. Since then, they're 13-18. Since then, they have beaten one team in either conference with a winning record, the Detroit Pistons. February 5th. It's April 15th. 2.5 months, they've gotten one win against a team that's above 500. That's remarkable. On the season, they are against teams that there was a good graphic going around the internet that caught my attention because it was great for the Lakers. But it was your record against top 10 net rating, middle 10 net rating, bottom 10 net rating.
Sure.
And so the Memphis Grizzlies are 6-21 against teams that have a top 10 net rating. For context, the Knicks are 6-16, the only thing really close to it, and the whole knock on the Knicks is they can't beat the good teams. So you would be asking the Grizzlies, if they win tonight, to then go get 4 wins against a top 10 net rating team in 2 weeks. And so I don't think they're serious, and I think that Houston is so serious that just the professionalism gap will be more than enough to overcome what I understand is you're saying is some experience and talent gap, which I do think Memphis is the slightly more talented team. I don't think overwhelmingly more talented, but I think Ja's the most talented guy among them. Amen might, have that type of
But he's
Ja
not the
upside.
player
but
Ja
he's
is,
not the
that's
player he is yet.
Who'd they beat on January 30th? Memphis.
Houston?
Houston.
Yeah, but they've lost
And the
them 3
two
other
games,
times.
but the 2 losses right before that, they lost by a total of 6 points. I'm just saying. I'm not even saying I would pick Memphis. So if Memphis wins tonight and I pick Houston, don't be like, oh. No. I'm just saying with that type of talent, it's a possibility.
It's not going to happen anyways.
So that's where I disagree.
I agree with that.
I think
That Memphis going to win tonight?
I think Memphis has. If I were betting tonight's game, I certainly wouldn't lay 7 points. And it feels like a game that's going to be in the balance in the final couple minutes. And the Warriors, for as great as Steph is, down the stretch here, they have not been great closers because they kick the ball around the yard.
I think it's going to be a wipeout. Yeah. Mavs general manager Nico Harrison held a roundtable with reporters today. No audio or visual here. He doubled down on his Luka trade by saying defense wins championships. That part's true. This is from Tim McMahon's article. Nico saying, there's no regrets on the trade. Part of my job is to do the best thing for the Mavs, not only today, but also in the future. And some of the decisions I'm going to make are going to be unpopular. That's my job, and I have to stand by it. Brew your reaction.
I've told you guys, Nico Harrison sounds to me like someone who is covering for the owner. best thing to do for the franchise, best situation for the franchise, I think he said at another point. To me, it sounds like the owner did not want to pay Luka this big super max this summer. That's what it sounds like to me. I know Nico Harrison. Nico Harrison knows basketball. This doesn't make any sense. And I would think a typical owner, Nick, will be because a typical owner doesn't know that much about basketball. What he knows is the bottom line. And a typical owner is looking at the fan base completely, abandoning the Mavericks. Mm-hmm. It's an overstatement, but you know what I'm saying. An owner is looking at Luka shining in L.A., and probably the typical owner will be like, my God, what in the world did we do? And if the GM is sitting there saying this type of stuff, it was a great trade, a typical owner will be like, what is this dude talking about? It clearly was a mistake. So I think he's covering for the owner. I might be wrong. Just pure speculation.
Theory.
All right? But even if we take out winning, and the Lakers obviously have a great chance to win the championship now, which clearly makes them the winner of the trade. But just take that out. Let's say Nico stayed in Dallas for the next 10 years and never won a championship. It's still great to have him. This is also a business. Luka. This is also a business, and it is an entertainment business.
Of course.
And he's a top 3 player. I've said it before. The Ewing era in New York. Never won it. It was a great run. Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire and Shawn Marion in Phoenix. Never won it. Great run. Weber, Stojakovic, all those guys in Sacramento. And you die for those eras. Even if you didn't win it, people are coming. People are excited. There's hope. He's one of the best players in the league. It was a mistake. And there's no other way around.
And let's just pretend that LeBron doesn't have the worst series of his life and the Heat beat the Mavs. The Dirk era he still has a statue.
Excellent.
You know what I mean? Like he's still win an MVP, lose a couple finals. He still has a statue there. I don't agree with. I shouldn't even say I don't agree with you because I don't have the same guess as you that it's the owner forcing his hand because I think the actual owner is worried about casinos, the fact that the son-in-law is running the team and is just like, hey. This guy used to hang out with Kobe Bryant. He knows basketball. He tells me this guy drinks too much and out of shape, and we got to get a big 7-footer. So it's fine. I think it was that simple, and I think Nico misjudged the passion of the fans on this specific point. I also think, oddly, and I said this day of, I will reiterate it, even if he was going to be right, he's now going to be wrong. Even if Nico Harrison had an oracle come to him in a vision, say Luka Doncic in 3 years, has torn both hamstrings, is 295 pounds, and is drinking before games. You can't give him $350 million. By trading him, now Luka's walking down the angry path of I have someone to prove wrong, and he's never going to turn into that guy. Yeah. So even if you were going to be right, you're going to look wrong. But with all that said, that was not the story of this press conference. That the reason we don't have audio or video of is because no one does, because the way you defend good decisions is tell the reporters you are not allowed to bring video cameras or recorders. It was only you could take notes. Rick Welts, the team CEO, comped this to when he was running the Golden State Warriors and they traded Monte Ellis.
Oh. He could score, though.
Yeah,
he could score.
No disrespect, Monte.
They traded, so the Warriors had Steph. They traded Monte Ellis, who was somewhat popular, for Andrew Bogut. If you think trading Monte Ellis is at all in the same stratosphere, like the head coach thinks it's like trading Babe Ruth. The CEO thinks it's like trading Monte Ellis. And to do it 12 hours after your city drafts Page and basketball fans in Dallas are a little happy, I think is also terrible timing. For the first time in 2 months, this basketball story in Dallas today was celebratory. Paige Beckers is here. Something good came. It's like, quick reminder, guys, we traded Luka. Let's have our first press conference
and I'm still in on it. I made the right call.
Excellent move.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.